Good afternoon to our merry Marvelites. Welcome to a very special Marvel movie talk. I am Peter Tork, joined by Mike Nesmith. I tripped over my own stupid monkey joke. As bad as it was, it's like if you can't
And you
even
and
get
you
it.
chose one of the ones who's now dead.
Yeah. Oh no, I knew. Yeah. I mean, look, there's no Davy Jones on this screen. All right. But we are here to talk about Hit Monkey. I am Christian Bladt. That is Eric Connor. And who's your friend there?
I don't recall what my younger son calls this guy, but he's for our purposes right now, he is Mr. Hit.
Yeah, he is indeed. And we are going to specifically spend this entire episode talking about Marvel's Hit Monkey, all 10 episodes now available on Hulu. And Daniel Drew, he has 7 minutes left on the finale. Daniel, you go ahead and finish, and you jump back over when you're done. It's all right.
We'll
I
wait. We'll wait. Let's just
I
stand here
promise that the
awkwardly
next
staring.
yeah, I promise that the next 6 minutes aren't going to be that interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, Daniel's like, I'll finish it afterwards. It's all right. There's definitely one thing that we'll talk about that you would see there at the end. And Kame Egan is here, Craig Robinson, Dominicus Saxon with a very chimp doctor like comment. We're so glad to have everybody here to talk. And Cami Egan, I forgot it premiered today. I don't mind being spoiled. Cami Egan, it premiered last Wednesday. So you've had a week to watch the 10 episodes. And Craig doesn't think that they have it in the UK. I would assume not just yet, but no reason to not talk to us. And Daniel, I will tease this forward. Will there be a show tomorrow? Oh boy, will there be a show tomorrow? We'll talk about it at the end. But just Eric, when we first announced the slate of the Hulu verse, the Marvel animated series that we were going to get, Hit Monkey was the one that I had to look up. I'm like, this is really a thing. Obviously, I knew who MODOK was. I am really a lifelong fan of Howard the Duck trapped in a world he never made. And of course, Dazzler is near and dear to my heart, and a character named Tigra that I always called Tigra for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited about all of it. Definitely, this was the one I knew the least about, very intrigued by. But then we only got half a universe. We talked MODOK earlier this year
Right.
with showrunner Jordan Blum, and I enjoyed that. I thought it was fun. But I really didn't know what to expect. What did you expect heading into Hit Monkey? You know, we got that trailer that we watched that was like 2 minutes. We got that in like September. Your expectations before you actually hit play on the first episode, what were you thinking of that you would get from Hit Monkey?
Yeah. I mean, like yourself, like I knew nothing of Hit Monkey. Like not a thing, to the point where I was like, does everyone know Hit Monkey? And I just happened to be kind of out of that circle. But it sounds like if you didn't know about it, in my mind, that means no one knew about Hit
Well,
Monkey,
to
which is, I
just
know, is not true. But
yeah, that's not no. If it happened in the Marvel universe between 1985 and 1999, I should know about it. After that, it's the Dr. Sam Beckett Swiss cheese memory. Some days I remember some things, other days I don't. And just keeping all the references cutting edge for the kids.
yeah, I might have told you this before. It's like that moment when I went through my old comic book collection, and you could almost date my sort of slowdown of comic book purchases to puberty, like almost to the
Yeah.
week. And it was
Yeah.
hysterical because it was like I used to just buy 7, 8 different titles, if not more, and then also it's like down, and it's like, oh, I'm going to save money for all the dates I never went on, and I'm still waiting to go on, to be honest.
Yeah.
And by the way, cut to now, my son just got bar mitzvah, as you know. He's putting aside money for dating. He called it that. I never told a soul. Like I didn't tell anyone my nefarious.
I thought he was putting money aside for comic books, but I
No.
forget because my kids are little, so I don't even
Oh yeah.
I don't even think about the frightening world that you live in.
It's not frightening yet. It's more like like one of those horror shows you would find on Nickelodeon.
Sure.
Like
Oh,
Waiting for
Are You
Dark
Afraid
or
of the
something like
Dark?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not full horror yet. We're not
Yeah.
talking Ring or Squid Game or any of that stuff
But
just yet.
fast forward 4 years, and it's going to
Oh,
be
forget it.
Hostel Part 3.
Like, when I have two teenagers in this house, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it. But yeah, I had no expectations for Hit Monkey. So what an amazing surprise this show was. Because
Yeah.
like I really know it's even that trailer I didn't know what to think of. And
Yeah,
I thought the
remember when
trailer was
I
pretty
sent the
good.
trailer to everybody, and our pal Michael Shirley, who will be back with us tomorrow, our pal Michael Shirley said, "What the hell did I just watch?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly."
Right.
But I love Sudeikis in general. I mean, he's got one of those great voices. So seeing that he was a part of it, I was definitely intrigued, and we'll go over the voice cast a little bit. I think that they brought some tremendous talent to this show, but you obviously need some device for a chimp character, a monkey character, to be able to actually carry a show. And I thought that they found a way to do it. But I texted you yesterday because I was making my way through the series. And by the way, it's 10 episodes, but it's like 4 hours, maybe a little bit more than 4 hours
Right,
to
right. It's
watch all 10 of
22
them.
minutes
Because,
and change.
yeah, there's like one is 27 minutes, one of the episodes, but in general, they're about 23 minutes. It's very easy to
Right.
watch. And I found it very watchable. I found it wasn't one of those, like, I can't believe I got to watch 4 more of these. I really enjoyed the
Yeah.
ride that we were on. And I texted you yesterday. I was shocked at how much heart there was in the show in general. But episode 8 there was so much depth to it, where we're seeing Bryce's childhood. We're
Mhm.
dealing with Monkey and the notion of family. And I'm like, I did not expect to get that from
Yeah.
this show, even after I had previously watched 7 episodes. I didn't think we were ever going to get that.
Now, episode 8, I mean, honestly, they could submit that for consideration for writing for a half-hour show,
And
for the
and
Emmys.
by the way,
It's that good.
if you told me a week ago that you were going to say that during our Hit Monkey show, I would be ready with the laugh track. But I agree. I had the same thought. I'm like, this is so well written. This is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved that script for episode 8.
Wait, do you have a laugh track there at the ready, by the way?
I don't.
Ah,
I would have needed to load it up, and
ah,
I don't expect either of us to say anything funny. So I'm just like, well, we're
nah,
not going to need it.
a very
Yeah.
special episode of Marvel Movie Talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned it from watching you, Christian.
Uh,
Episode 8, and it's tricky because I know some of the Black Cast Nation, you know, might not have gotten there yet. So it's
yeah.
tricky. Like I really don't want to spoil it, but I
No, but
will
I
say
think
like
that
you
the
can't
terms that I
overhype it enough.
referenced, yeah, the terms that I referenced, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
giving too
No, I
much
can.
away. Like Bryce is a very cartoony, loud, over the top, really comic book assassin character,
Sure.
from when you think of your comic book assassins, you pretty much start with Deadpool, and they're all kind of like him, in all
Yeah, yeah.
honesty.
Snarky.
And but it was kind of great to see the backstory and really get to know him. And Monkey, I think from the beginning is very very emotional, very grounded. And I thought that really getting to see that side of him in that episode, I was legitimately surprised. So I think Daniel Drew might be the only one in the chat who's seen most of the season. He hasn't finished the finale, he said. But Daniel, just jump in when you can and tell us what you thought about sort of that episode. But look, there's little flashes of it. Monkey tries to
Mhm.
have a code, and the rat bites him when they break into the prison,
Right.
and yet that ends up paying off. I love the subtitles for the animal characters.
Right.
He was like, look, the rat was like, I was just stuck to a glue trap and I was in a really weird place. I'm so sorry. you know? Uh,
When you know what that's like it's a lion and the mouse fable right
yeah,
there. Reimagined in a very strange, unusual world, but it's the same theme, right? It's like a bit of karma shows up in this, and it really is great that it takes a monkey for the assassin to learn humanity.
yeah,
Something he forgot about, and then that episode 8, which I feel like we're going to just keep circling back because it really was the
probably.
peak of this
Yeah.
season.
for
You
sure.
know, it it also showed like his what his life was, and also gives us something for season 2 because clearly season 2, they've now set up beautifully an actual tangible goal for him beyond just sort of helping the monkey out, but something personal involving
Yeah.
the child he left behind. I mean, it really was, so surprising. I mean, and I think really like I've the idea of like the actors like oh my gosh, I just blanked. Andy Serkis, who
Yeah.
plays Gollum. But really, like Andy Serkis's performance in the rebooted Planet of the Apes trilogy was like stunning and was something that really like without that central performance, you don't have that trilogy. And I'm not sure who did the monkey voice in this. You might have that in front of you, Christian. But I mean, talk about being able to convey performance with like just a handful of sounds and then really expressive animation, which I thought was, this is not 3D animation, and yet they did such a wonderful job of getting across emotions on these characters' faces throughout, and of course the animals' faces too, not just
Yeah.
humans.
So the voice actor responsible for Monkey is named Fred Tatasciore, I think is how you say it. And obviously, voice actors you don't
Yeah,
immediately know who they are unless they're Billy West. Yosemite Sam, Taz, and the Hulk are voices that he's responsible for. And I would think that if you can bring character to Taz and the Hulk, characters that do not speak, I
right.
think you're very well equipped. I think that makes him an excellent choice for Hitmonkey, who
Hmm.
it is a lot of grunting and just sort of making noises and shrieking. And by the way, kudos that never once in this season does he fling his own poop. I would not have been able to resist. I think there would have been one. I think in the
That,
first episode, I would have had him throw it at some point.
that would have been
But
the opener of the first through 10th episodes. Would have
yeah,
been every teaser would have been a variation, and the poop then forming into the letters of
well,
Hitmonkey.
I would have done like a real world style reality show where, like, in the confessionals, it would just be him flinging the poop at the camera every episode. Yeah. So, this is why I'm not
Interesting.
behind the scenes. I'm just commenting on what I see in front of the scenes. But look, that is a tall order to be able to bring a character like Hitmonkey to life, and from voice acting, but also from writing. And you have to animate him just right so that
Yeah,
he has the characteristics that we expect from a monkey, but he does also possess some human characteristics. So I think that they do a nice job. There's obviously great bits along the way, like when he's trying to get out of the seatbelt. I thought was actually very funny, because you and I both have kids. It's not as simple as like just push the red button. No, yeah, you think it's that, but there's so much more to it than that. And look, I think that it really, if the character of Monkey doesn't work, the whole show doesn't work.
right.
It's there would be something to having Sudeikis as Bryce, wisecrack throughout, and some phenomenal jokes throughout the course of the season, like legitimate laugh out loud one liners, asking if those two twins that ran the one poker or the one casino, if they were the Japanese Hall and Oates. It's just something, it just struck me in a way that it made me laugh like out loud, just because you're not necessarily thinking those things. And obviously Sudeikis was a phenomenal choice for that. So
Oh, there was that one
go
guy
ahead.
he described, oh gosh, what was that dude's name? The one bad guy,
The
I'm
Cobra, the big fat
well,
guy.
from that, Cheetah or whatever they called him in this thing. They
Oh,
uh
yeah, I know who you mean.
yeah, Roy he looks like Roy Orbison had sex with a bag of salt.
It was pretty
And and
amazing.
and by the way, completely accurate.
Yeah, yeah, he did. And and then just the number of times he said, like, I'm really wasting these on you, aren't I, monkey? It's like
Right.
yeah, there's just some great writing in that way.
He
and
had too
and
much to
legitimately,
explain.
yeah, legitimately, like that's kind of what I expected to get out of this show. Was like, okay, there'll be some good laughs, moments like that, and I think that was a strong part of Modoc. But like Modoc, what it had was heart that you weren't necessarily expecting,
Yeah.
and obviously just a needlessly violent, bloody show, and I obviously it's not suitable for children, right, Eric?
Yeah, I would never allow my 10-year-old to come and join me watching this. That would be a terrible parenting move. That I never would have done that. No, God,
Never
no.
would have done that.
Yeah,
But
Christian
hypothetically,
already has called Department of
Child
Health and
Protective
Human
Services, yeah.
Services on me and
Hypothetically, if you had a child that lived in your house who watched it, what would that child have thought of it?
hypothetically, of course, he loved it. And he didn't watch all of it. And I'm gonna have that awkward conversation with him later today when it
About how
comes
he
out.
can't finish?
Well, how I already finished it
Oh,
without him because I got
but
ahead
I
of him.
but I made you finish it, so
You
blame
did,
me.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no, trust me.
yeah,
Christian's gonna take the bullet on this one.
yeah,
But because I would explain what it was to him, and he was like, "Wait, so it's a monkey that goes around killing people?" I was trying to explain it. And he's like, "So the monkey just really strong?" I'm like, "Well, he is, but really, he's a hitman." It's like, "Wait, so he uses a gun?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, I think I need to see this." And I realized, like, 10-year-old me would have seen this,
Oh,
probably
yeah,
waited until my parents went to sleep, maybe, although they were pretty chill about this stuff, but
yeah,
I mean, this would have been like the total show I would have watched at that age. But again, I'm not, as mentioned, a good parent. I'm not
yeah,
technically a healthy uh, mentor for the young or old. So, but yeah, I mean, we also it was fun watching it with someone else
yeah,
because of the laughter. Because there are so many moments in there that shock you with their humor,
yeah,
and and if anything, if there was a flaw, which I guess there's some, but really, I had such a positive experience watching the show. But because Jason Sudeikis is doing all the talking, he's doing all the talking, and
yeah,
sometimes I felt like they could have maybe cut that down a little bit. But then he would, hit us with a line. They cut someone in the half the long way, and he just turns to the monkey. It's like, which half do you want to interrogate?
which I thought was great because that was like the first thing you texted me.
Yeah,
Like you had started it before I did, so
yeah,
I
that was
was eager.
episode 2, I
Yeah,
believe, and that
yeah,
was a moment I think honestly, that was a moment for me that I'm like, "Okay, this show's really smart and
yeah,
and shocking in its use of violence, but then humor with the violence that doesn't temper the violence and doesn't water down the humor." Like, that's tough. I mean, we have Deadpool, but think of how many times they've tried to do a mixture of sort of violence with humor, and it just doesn't land. It just feels like writers trying too damn hard and actors like being so cheeky that it just gets annoying. This is one that really balanced it beautifully and,
yeah.
still kind of shocked me even by episode 10.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. They were able to find that balance, and I think that that's important. And it's clearly well suited for Hulu as opposed to Disney Plus. I mean,
Hmm.
it is definitely more adult fare, and you get the feeling that the reason why some of the animated shows that were intended for Hulu went away is because Feige and company had other plans for those characters, most notably Howard the Duck. But I think that the Hit Monkey, they're like, this is really the best opportunity for Hit Monkey to reach an audience.
Yeah.
And you referenced the fact that it sets up a season 2, and Modoc did the same. I would be shocked if we got second seasons for these, but boy, would I be ready for both of them. I mean, to see where this goes from that point, and we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end. Yeah, I think that it was a very satisfying 10-episode story that, again, I'm telling you, you can watch in about 4 hours. So it's it's like you could watch the Snyder cut again, or you could watch this. So just
Right.
consider that in terms of allotments of your time. I want to talk about the rest of the voice cast because there are some tremendous recognizable voices. And I want to start with who Kame Egan identifies, George
Yep.
Takei. Oh my, that I was very
Oh,
excited to hear him. very similar to the obviously it was an on-camera performance, but he was the father of Hero on Heroes.
Hmm.
And it's sort of a similar character, that sort of the stern, no nonsense Japanese adult is perfect for George Takei, who, of course, his persona as a guest on the Howard Stern show, anything but that, So, oh my.
It,
So, I think that, but it was great to have him as a part of it. And, I think that the journey of his character, I think, is an interesting one for
yeah.
Shinji is his character's name. And, we meet him as something, and, it evolves really throughout the course of the 10 episodes that, I don't know. I think that George Takei does a tremendous job on this show.
Yeah, one thing too that really caught me was that it didn't quite sound like him, and you realize because I'm so used to like yourself, Christian, like hearing George Takei shows up a lot on Howard Stern, and he's like the naughty grandpa
Yeah.
who teaches us so much about the very specific going ons of his bedroom and how him and Brad like to wrestle
Yes.
and
On
then things
Sundays. Yes.
and Sunday nights, and then things take a turn. Oh my! And but you
Oh
know what?
my.
His it's a reminder that like that's his natural speaking voice,
Yes.
which is hysterical because it's the most unnatural sounding voice aside of Chris Walken. But he is first and foremost a really legitimate actor.
Yeah.
His performance on Heroes is really good. You're right, and here I think he very smartly kind of masked a lot of what we'd almost expect from when you see George Takei in the cast list. You would then assume it's going to be this type of character, but it's not. He's his character is like a lifelong bureaucrat, right? And a guy who has been sort of on the fringes of the political system, and then has a chance to sort of step up to the plate and now potentially become prime minister. And so they really like he's really good at turning off the sort of I don't know the George Takei-ness of himself, and made a really interesting character out of it. And then there's a pretty pretty sizable twist involving him.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure if you want to get into it now, but
No,
even that moment I thought was great.
yeah, I think that that moment was great, and I think that it's handled well. I mean, somebody who's been acting for 60 plus years
Yeah,
obviously has the ability to sort of make us think differently about his character, kind of on the drop of a dime, or drop of 100 yen piece, I suppose, if we're going to keep it accurate. There are some other great voices on here, recognizable, that obviously it helps to see them throughout the course of the series. And Daniel Drew points out Ali Mackey was great. Ali Mackey, who previously existed within the Marvel Universe on Cloak and Dagger, but as Haruka, the good, honest police officer, the young
hmm
police officer. Olivia Munn as Kiko, who, of course, as of now, is the defining presence of Betsy Braddock, Psylocke, on screen in X-Men Apocalypse, but also getting to populate another Marvel character. And I think that they were both great, and a sort of a lesser known actress is Reiko Aylesworth, who was on Law and Order SVU and on a couple of seasons of 24. It's such a unique name that I just recognized it when I
hmm
saw it. She was Lady Bullseye, who was anything but lazy, but also the voice of Yuki, which I thought was definitely a turning point in the show when they introduced Yuki, the ghost character. And to have Bryce as a ghost character that almost nobody can see, you feel like, all right, I feel like that can work in a sort of a
You're right,
superhero world. But then, like, the ghost character that everybody can see, I'm like, all right, I don't quite know why. But
right.
again, it's sometimes you summarize things the way that my friend Will Sterling points out. Sometimes the literal explanation is because comic books, period. you know so yeah, what did you think about what these voice actors brought to some of these characters? Very diverse characters. I mean, if you start with Haruka on one end of the spectrum and Lady Bullseye and Yuki on the other end, I think that it's great, first of all, that they hired voice actors who are of, I'm not going to make the assumption, but I assume they're of Japanese descent. They're certainly Asian,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think like that piece of it. At one point I thought, I have to admit, I always get Olivia Wilde and Olivia Munn confused.
Boy,
And
that
at
would have been
first,
awkward for Sudeikis if Olivia
right, I
Wilde
know.
was, yeah,
All of a sudden, he has to show up to the recording studio, and there's his new ex with
yeah,
Harry Styles. Uh, I agree. I think the voice acting was great, and it kind of reminds me like where, like, let's say Pixar has something over really every other animation house in town.
sure,
Is Pixar doesn't worry about like having stars, though they get stars,
yeah,
but they don't really. They would always rather go with an actor over a star. Like Patton Oswalt, who's obviously, especially now in the Marvel universe, like we all know him, love him. But when he was cast as Ratatouille, there's a lot of stars who could have done that character. But the idea was, okay, let's put, an actual guy who would sound kind of like we would imagine a Remy the Rat would sound like.
right,
They're
yeah,
not worried about putting Will Smith in voice talent or other notable names because they're always worried about character. And I felt like that's what really worked here, even though I know it's TV and we oftentimes on this show talk about like TV friendly salaries versus film. But I think a show like this could have easily have gone a little bit bigger in its star wattage, but it didn't. Like, and I think they rather would go with the ones who really fit the characters.
yeah,
And
I agree.
so, it felt like they didn't care about recognizable voices, and that was great. Now, I mean, I think having Jason Sudeikis as the lead was really smart, though. Like a voice that we do know, and also, by the way, like the exact opposite of Ted Lasso.
Yeah, yeah,
With
100%, yeah,
like, I mean, let's take a moment and talk about like what makes Ted Lasso so special is it's optimistic and as a character who sort of believes in like kindness and decency. And really, like when that show came out, really in the height of the pandemic, it was like, my God, we needed him.
yeah,
Like, if ever a country needed a character, a fictional character, it was America needed Ted Lasso. And so then to take him and just like it's like you take what he does with Ted Lasso and you turn it, but not as much as you'd expect. Like it's like his snarkiness, but around a cold heart, as opposed to the warmth Ted Lasso always radiates. Rather, we have that same sort of his defense mechanism he uses in that show is also here, except here there's a real wounded core that runs so deep. And if you watch Ted Lasso season 2, by the way, oddly enough, there's a similar character journey there, which is interesting too. But yeah, no, I think that voice cast was terrific in this show, and I really didn't think of them as like cartoon or like voice actor. I really just bought into this world so much, like particularly the police officers. I thought, kind of all of them. I was surprised at how easily I just sort of got into the reality of their lives. And great
yeah,
acting.
yeah, just with Ito, who was Haruka's partner. Obviously he was the main police officer when we're starting. Just sort of the explanation that it's right out of honestly like any police drama movie or TV show in terms of like, yeah, look, that was back when everybody was corrupt,
Right,
and
right, right, right,
and just sort of the explanation for how easily it's like, yeah, I took a fall from my partner because he had a family, and I didn't, and it's just, you feel like you can identify that character, and yes, it's a cartoon about a monkey assassin.
right.
However, when you take the writing of that character, tell me that he couldn't have been like the, number 12 on the call list for season 2 of Homicide Life on the Street. He
Right.
definitely could have been off there with Ned Beatty and just talking about like, yeah, it's guess we're never going to be captain, and
Mhm.
I thought that there was some great characterization in there, and it look, these are topics that have been covered, in great detail and things that we would have seen before, but it still felt fresh in a way, just sort of dealing with it, and probably it's because we're dealing with, specifically, there are cultural differences for Japan and the United States, obviously, but I found all of that to be great, in all honesty, and it seems like you agree,
Yeah.
so.
And even like there's a lot of pop culture references in this, but somehow it always felt on point. And I think largely because the monkey didn't understand like 98% of what he was saying. And I
Yeah.
thought that actually made it even better because he would then try to explain it to him. He's like, nah, it's too much work to explain it to you.
Yeah.
Like you said before, I'm wasting my good stuff on
Yeah.
you.
When he realized, he's like, I'm not going to try to explain a meme to you.
Right. Killing is a great line. Killing is dope, but so is Tom Petty. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
Like, what
like,
do you mean? Who's Tom Petty? Yeah, I
oh,
know that was fantastic.
and
Uh,
and another line I grabbed. How do we go from killing people to a yogurt commercial? When we
yeah,
see Monkey hanging out with his new lady friend. Um, Wait, by the way, did you ever feel like they handled it pretty well? I thought, but there was once or twice I'm like, how far is this relationship going to go?
I was worried. I
Yeah,
was worried about where it was going to go, but I think that
they kept
it
it pure.
was it was I think it was purely Jane Goodall level, mutual
Right.
respect. I think that that was the case. By the way, this is I'd say it's a light spoiler for the end, but it's just sort of I love the fact that Daniel mentions this. Bryce made a deal with Mephisto or another devil like Belasco. And the reason I bring that up is because we do all these shows and everybody's always expecting that we're going to get Mephisto. And then here in this show, we casually get some references to the devil and then they move on. You know, it's it's also just a great line is like, he told me to read the contract, but why would I do that? What is he going to do? Hold me to it? And even the monkey's like, so I thought that that was nice. This is a series that is not entirely disconnected from the Marvel Universe. There were
Sure.
small references and small inclusion. The first one that I was excited about was when he was at the tailors, and there's a picture of the Kingpin on the wall, which I thought was nice. Even the Kingpin gets suits here.
Yeah.
But we also, in one of the two parts of the finale, I think it was in episode 10, we get a fastball special, which is right out of the X-Men. So you're getting tossed up the building.
Hmm.
But we also get Silver Samurai, which
Yep.
is, a part of the X-Men lore. I mean, that is certainly not an A-list character, but anybody who read, Chris Claremont's run on X-Men knows Silver Samurai. So I was kind of excited to see him. It was
Oh, sure.
definitely sort of a buffoonish, cartoony version of him. But I was just excited to get those little nods, that
Hmm.
they could have told the whole story without any of them. But I found it fun. Did you find any of that stuff to
Oh,
be
great.
kind of nice nods, some fan service, as it were?
Sure. And Silver Samurai too. I think what works about it, of course, is like it didn't feel shoved in there. It didn't feel like yeah, it's fan service, but it's organic. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to do a story in Japan, well, in the Marvel world, he's there. So,
Yeah, look,
uh,
it didn't make sense to put Sunfire in it, so that's fine that he wasn't there,
right,
and look,
right.
it was
Or
it,
any of the members, right? Any of the
it,
members of Alpha
it
Flight would have been a stretch too.
yeah,
But
but look, it was established before I was even born that Sunfire's a dick. So, from Giant Size X-Men #1, and then I think he lasts 2 pages in well, not Uncanny at that
did
point,
you
but the book that would become Uncanny #94. He's
did
he's
you
gone.
ever write Marvel about your feelings about this character? Is there?
That Sunfire?
Yeah.
No, 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 because I think everybody agreed that he was a
Was there
dick.
an unpublished letter?
Uh, yeah, boy, if I had a drafts folder back then,
Oh, I know, right? You wrote everything by hand.
yeah, I
So,
know, but no,
oh,
I had a typewriter actually. So
but you didn't. No carbon.
no, 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 I didn't. Yeah,
Ah, damn
yeah,
it. Because I honestly, I mean, you imagine that coffee table book, The Ramblings of Christian Blatt, age 11.
yeah.
It would be forbidden in like 15 states.
Yeah, it's I'm sure it would be a wildly successful best-selling book.
We sold
Uh
almost 9 copies,
9
but I would
copies.
have bought 3 of them.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's what we look for. So I think that we get a lot of just interesting character stuff, as I said, and some of it unexpectedly. I think that Lady Bullseye was an interesting character.
Yeah.
Sort of this unbeatable sort of presence. And this is a theory that I had that I feel like we're about to really get into a little bit of spoilery stuff. So if you really don't want to know anything about this show, that might be the time to tune out. But then you're not going to hear my announcement about exactly. Just hear no evil. But the I was wondering if Lady Bullseye was going to be Bryce's daughter that he hadn't seen since she was an infant.
Oh,
I thought that would have been interesting.
but he doesn't hit
Even
on her.
after mentioning that he had hit on her at a convention, still would have been interesting. But they didn't go that way.
Yeah, that would have been icky.
Yeah,
You know, if they did, and it went also to the fate of the character.
yeah.
I don't want to say too much there, but yeah, I mean, I am still so curious about who his daughter became. I mean, I don't think she showed up here yet, but who knows? I mean, I suppose it could be. Well, actually, I don't even know who. No, I guess it couldn't really be any of these characters, right? Because
No, it wouldn't
there's
be.
no
Yeah.
Caucasian women in this,
Right,
except
and
for the
and
flashback.
his wife was also Caucasian, so
Right, 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 right.
there, no, I know there's a logic flaw, but we just talked about Psylocke a moment ago. If that's Captain Britain's sister, and she
Mhm.
was, there's a lot of things that can happen.
That's true.
You go visit Mojo's body shop, and who knows what happens. But I
What,
thought
what,
that. Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, like Lady Bullseye. I mean, her introduction was so terrific.
That
Where
was great.
she's meeting various people, and what one person makes her like put her tray up. A
Yeah, so
stewardess.
the flight attendant makes her
Right,
put the table up, yeah.
right, and then there's the tailor. Who's
And
helping her.
but also so her reservation wasn't gonna be ready for an hour.
Right.
And by the way, the woman at the front desk says, "Go have a complimentary drink at the bar."
I
So,
know.
made amends.
Couldn't have been
And
nicer. It didn't matter.
yeah, and then the guy who hits on her, and then it's revealed sort of in succession that she didn't just shrug these off, and she killed everyone.
Yeah. I mean, and it's such a great reveal because it starts
Yeah,
with him, and then it
yeah,
works backwards, and you're like, "Oh my god!" Even the stewardess who's just
yeah,
doing her job, but
yeah,
what a great introduction, though. I mean, and you know, I, I mean, that's a character I wish we could have more of because really fun, and I love the acting of it, but even just how she went about her business in a way that
yeah.
was really different than Jason Sudeikis when he was an assassin. I think that was also interesting too. Like I didn't find her to be any kind of cardboard cutout or generic assassin type we've seen before. Like I actually felt there's something really fun about her, and I would have been happy to spend another season with her, but it's unlikely, I suppose. Well, although now someone's gonna potentially take
Yeah, but
advantage
see,
of it.
that's the thing, is that there can be a Lady Bullseye
Right.
in the future, which is kind of a nice moment. I think that somewhere in the comments, I think Daniel might have referenced it. It might be a bit of a logic jump,
Sure.
that let's just say a character might take on the mantle of Lady Bullseye when it does not seem fitting. But look, the incidents that occur in the finale are very impactful for a number of people. And by the way, I don't know enough about Paul. I have no idea who's the prime minister of Japan after this.
Oh, that's
You know,
true. They'll have to have
yeah,
they'll have to have a runoff election, or a
yeah,
recall election kind of thing like we've had.
yeah. Right. Yeah,
Who
you and
wants
I
another
to vote who's the most popular on Marvel
right?
Movie Talk, and the winner is always Kate. So we should have known better. In all
Oh yeah,
honesty,
we're all fighting for third, not even
yeah,
second.
exactly.
Even there's
Uh,
two of us, we're fighting for third.
yeah, we're definitely fighting for third. So yeah, look, I really had fun with the show, and we're trying to not give it away, because I'm hoping that we're encouraging people to actually check it out. Who
Yeah.
yeah, I know that some of you haven't seen it yet, and then a few of you might have been planning on it. But if we convince anybody to watch it and they do enjoy it, then I feel like our work here is done. That's a big old mission accomplished banner hanging from the battleship that is the Marvel Movie Talk, the SS Marvel Movie Talk. And it's and we, like, I referenced Fat Cobra. We by the way, same voice actor who did Silver Samurai, Noshar Dalal is the name of that actor. So it's fun, that there's a lot of great moments, and there's reverse prison breaks, and
Oh yeah, that was
just
great.
and so many, just the amount of melees that Hitmonkey gets out of, is great. And I think there was a point where Akiko's at home, like reading The Punisher. She's reading like a Punisher. By the way, it's a nice touch too, because it's manga style, where the front cover is actually on the back. Because you read those what we consider to be backwards, just the reverse orientation from turning the pages. So I thought it was kind of interesting, because Hitmonkey is very much like specifically the John Bernthal Netflix Punisher, where you're
Yeah.
just like, I don't know how he gets out of any of these things, like how he's not dead after 5 minutes in the first season of Punisher is still beyond me. But the idea that Hitmonkey has that, and I don't know. I think that Hitmonkey is such a more rounded character than I ever would have expected. We talked about his backstory, well, sort of the emotional depths we get, but just sort of dealing with, interacting with his tribe when they're still alive, and just sort of the representations of them. And this was a very pleasant surprise for me, this show.
Yeah.
On a week where I was also pleasantly surprised by Ghostbusters Afterlife, that I enjoyed it as much as I did. I like to find, look, we live in an age where everybody wants to be the first one to talk about how much something sucks and how they hated it more than anyone else did. And sometimes when they're the only ones who didn't like something, they're so happy that they get to be on the outside looking in. I always want to like everything. I'm not devoting my time to something that I hope is not going to be good, and I didn't think that this was going to be bad, but I really didn't know what to make of it. And whatever it was, it definitely surprised me a number of times, and it was a pleasant surprise, and I hope we get more.
Yeah, I'd be thrilled to see a second season of this.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I was like looking at like some of the images recently of all the Star Wars title, all the Marvel TV titles we're gonna have.
Yeah.
And sometimes I look at it and I look down the list. I'm like, do we really need a Miss Marvel and an well, not Miss Marvel. I'm sorry. No, it is Miss Marvel, right? The
The
teenage.
Kamala Khan character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but just as an aside with that, the fact that it's this iteration of Ms. Marvel, it is, the conscious decision of getting more diverse characters like Riri
Yeah.
Williams, Ironheart as well. It's not like, oh yeah, let's get a show. Look, the one thing that people keep talking about a lot of the time is this idea of like, oh, are we going to get Nova? And it's like, yeah, we can get Nova. He can be a good character, but he is another white guy. I mean, you
Right.
look at the Nova story, it's like, oh yeah, it's like dime store Peter Parker. It's like we
Right.
kind of
Right.
have that. But I know what you're saying. So like, and when it comes to Star Wars, it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess we want IG-88 the musical, but look, by the way, if Favreau's doing it, I'll be there. It's fine. No
Right.
worries.
I mean, I was
But
so thrilled that Bib Fortuna came back. Like
yeah.
that really did everything for me.
Yeah,
Was
or as I called him, Lobster Bib Fortuna, because
or
it
Big
looks
Fort
like Big Fortuna. Yeah, he'd been
Big
enjoying the
Fortuna,
spoils.
Blob Fortuna,
Yeah,
Bib Fat Tuna. But I bring this up because it's like, yeah, I do have this worry about like the sort of the glut of it. But yet I watch this and I'm not really thinking about the Marvel universe.
yeah.
I'm not really even thinking superhero. Weirdly enough, I wasn't. This didn't feel like a superhero story.
No, it did not.
This felt like a bit of anime or manga, like a pulp, that we're seeing. And I agree, Christian. If this broadcast here can convince one other questionable parent to allow a 10-year-old to watch a monkey behead someone, then our work really is done, and I
Yeah,
am less likely to get arrested. most
Yes, you'll
importantly.
be able to point like, look, there's also other bad parenting out there. Daniel Drew mentioned something that I do want to call attention
Yes,
to. The music
thank
was
you.
phenomenal. End credit music was also good, but there was also some incidental music, action sequences and things. And I don't know what any of it was, but it all really fit. And you could tell that they took the time to find music that really fit what we were doing. A lot
Yeah.
of it sounded, Japanese with English lyrics. I feel like that's what we had. But the level of the attention to detail when it comes to things like that. By the way, the animation style completely different than anything we've had before, but it looked
Mhm.
great. I really found myself, it sort of wrapped up in the animation style, and it is
Yeah.
probably a less expensive style than What If, but it's also just as easy on the eyes as we can say. And by the way, let's interject.
Mhm.
Dominica Saxon, I wasn't going to watch Hit Monkey, but after this, I'll give it a couple
Yeah.
episodes and see how it goes. Yeah, give it a couple because you really get it set up at the end of the first one. So
Mhm.
watch a couple and look. If you didn't like it, you gave it a try. And Dominica Saxon, I've done nothing in all the time that you've been a part of my audience. I've wasted so much of your time that 44 minutes isn't really going to be that much different. So I feel okay if you check it out. And yeah, Daniel Drew pointing out there was also some French music. So yeah, so would welcome more, and we'll see if we ever get it. I just think that the Hulu verse is just a page that's getting turned, but I would be happy. I would be more inclined to pick up, the every episode had like Modoc did, had an ad for it seemed like a trade paperback of Hit Monkey stories. I'm like, I would like to read some more about, how close they stuck to the comic book character, and maybe where it goes from there. So but I will be interested in seeing that. So check out Hit Monkey. Let us know what you think. You can comment on this episode. You could also tweet at Christian DMZ for me, at Count Eric Connor for Eric. And also, Daniel, you did ask at the beginning of this episode, will there be a show tomorrow? And yes, there will be, unless we get some surprises and there are monkeys in the show. It will be a less simian friendly episode, but we will be back at our regular day and time of Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, for Marvel Movie Talk, where we talk about Hawkeye episodes 1 and 2. And I
Oh, shit,
texted with
wait,
our
they both
friend.
come out tonight at midnight?
They'll
So
both come out tonight at midnight.
I
And
so
I
I
I
better take a
texted
nap.
I texted our pal Michael Shirley, and I will tell you the same thing. You'll be so happy to know I did not receive screeners for this show. They did not send me screeners for Hawkeye. I had received the previous Marvel shows. I got Loki, I got Falcon Winter Soldier, I got WandaVision. The Hawkeye screeners were on a different tier of people that are actually in show business. And clearly, I am not on that list. But I do know people that got them, and it was crazy the level of like multiple authentications. It's a different app than the one that they usually use. And you were given the instructions that it is only for you and not someone else in your house. If you are watching it in a room,
Right,
you need to turn it off and don't leave it playing where other people might happen upon it. And I'm like, well, what in the hell happens in this show then that
right.
it's this level of, but we'll find out tonight after midnight. And then that's Pacific time, because as Daniel points out, that's 3 to 4 a.m. And Daniel, there's 2 episodes tonight. And I don't know if they're an hour, but it's probably like Loki where they're closer to 40, 45 minutes. So you're probably going to need an hour and a half to watch them, if I had to guess. It won't be like the nice tight half hours that WandaVision gave us. But Eric, tomorrow, Wednesday, November 24th, at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, we will be talking Hawkeye. And what are your thoughts and expectations and hopes for Hawkeye?
Some of the reviews have been not quite so effusive in their praise, but I've enjoyed Hawkeye. I always liked him in the
Yeah.
comic book. We've talked about it, and I know there was always that debate, like, well, is has Jeremy Renner done what the comic book character is? And I do feel like a lot of that came across in his performance, at least for my taste. But it also might be when I used to read Hawkeye, which was much more old school.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about this show, and I mean, they obviously got one of the best young actresses of her generation to play opposite him. So the fact is,
Yeah.
like, you've got two Oscar nominated performers right up top as the leads. It feels, I mentioned this a while back. It feels like a Shane Black movie, which that seldom is a bad thing, in my opinion, as well.
I
So
agree.
I'm excited. I mean, it gives me a reason to be excited for the holidays.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Because
Beyond
you're
Hanukkah.
usually strictly a bah humbug guy,
Oh
and
yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah,
Hanukkah is a very different beast than Christmas. Like you really don't get a. There's
yeah.
only a Hanukkah movie and maybe two Hanukkah songs. You know,
And by the way, all by Adam Sandler.
right, right,
Well,
pretty much. And
yeah,
then
and I of course for me Hanukkah, I always think of the great SNL sketch Hanukkah Harry,
all
played
right,
by John Lovitz,
of
where he fills
course,
in for Santa. Socks, eight
I got you
pair. Can you
chocolate
believe it?
coins.
I
I'm
love
glad we
that.
both could do John Lovitz on a dime. By the way, that's important quality. That
Oh,
I would argue, if we bring this up to Michael Shirley, his John Lovitz imitation I heard is less than great.
we're gonna have to, yeah.
We're gonna test
Speaking
them.
of Marvel actors, it might actually be less than zero. But what we
Ah,
might
very
we
nice.
could ask him tomorrow. And Daniel Drew makes the point that Haley Steinfeld didn't even have to audition. They waited a full year
Right,
to
right,
have this
right.
show go into production because they're like, no, that's who we want. And kudos to Feige and whoever he must answer to somebody at Disney. It's not Ike Perlmutter, but he has to answer to somebody
Thank God.
because they were just willing to be like, yeah, no, she's the right choice. We want this character going forward. We don't need to rush this for any reason. So yeah, we'll just wait. And I'm glad because there's not enough instances of just being able to creatively like we'll write the show and then when we're ready to have the cast that we want, that's when we'll do it. And the pandemic probably didn't hurt. So in terms of having the time to spend in terms of writing the show, obviously the pandemic hurt a
No,
great
no, I'm
deal.
gonna take that out of
Yeah, I
context.
know you are.
Christian,
That's why.
the pandemic probably didn't hurt Christian.
Well,
Christian's
we'll get
alive.
we'll get a whole different group of followers if you post that. So, we'll reach out to some people that look, if it helps our Q rating, we can certainly pander to a segment of the audience. In any case, Eric,
I'll
I
extract the vaccine from my blood on camera if it gets us more viewers.
Eric, it's always great to chat, and I'm glad that you went
Pleasure.
on this Hit Monkey journey with me, and that we'll see you tomorrow. And I know I told people they can keep in touch with you at Count Eric Connor. If they want to find your film, which I think is slightly different than Hit Monkey, where do they do that?
Right. A movie, a documentary that actually deals with very real effects of violence, which is, not the snarky Jason Sudeikis jokes, which is one approach, but our approach a little bit different. Other
Yeah.
voices, not the narrative movie with the same title, also known as Azwata Harim. Yes, it's got a fancy foreign title. That's over on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out.
And you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And please subscribe to the Blackcast YouTube channel, where in the last 24 hours, I have done 5 shows.
I'm about to say,
Uh,
like you've done, yeah, you did a show with Kate.
I did. I did a show with Kate and our pal Will Sterling from the Blackcast, the titular Blackcast. We talked about some differing opinions. She and Will did not enjoy Dune, so I wanted to talk to them. Like, let's talk about what you didn't like about it. And Kate has a very funny way to summarize that. But they enjoyed the Edgar Wright film Last Night in Soho, and I liked 2/3 of it and very much disliked the last third. So I thought it was fun to have a conversation like that because look, we don't have to agree, but your disagreement shouldn't be like, well, you're wrong and you're stupid. That thing sucks. No, but let's just talk about why we have different opinions. So we did that. And we've started our after show for Star Trek Discovery with my pal Nikki Bailey and myself. So yeah, and I did some musician interviews this afternoon. So we just keep it going. We're the old content farm here at Blackcast on YouTube, BLADTCAST. And you know what, Cami Egan, when he showed up, I had the same thought. Eric,
You
each
want to
time
buy
you
a
show us
monkey?
the monkey, I think of David Letterman and Cabin Boy. You want to buy a monkey? Uh,
I hate those fancy boys.
in any case, we hope that everybody is able to check out Hawkeye and then join us tomorrow. We will see you then. And until then, as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!